Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to dominate in zero build ranked solos and hit Unreal in Chapter 6, I have prepared a full in-depth guide to help you win more solo ranked games. I will dive inside my mind in a solo ranked win and lead you through every crucial decision that was made to win this game. Before we jump straight into the video, I want to thank this user for leaving a positive comment on the channel. I read every single comment, so if you want to be featured in my next video, comment something down below. Let's see if we can get this video to 1,000 likes. That would be greatly appreciated. Without any further ado, let's get straight into the video. I'm going to cover every fight that I get into, the best places to land, the best loadout for endgames, and how you should properly rotate to maximize your chances of winning. Here I am landing at my main spot that I like to land on. Here's a screenshot of the map of where it's at, and in the white circle you can see that's exactly where I land. I like to land here because there's a slurp truck, but even more so as you see me land, if I have the best drop, I usually tend to go for the zipline that leads me into this underground area that has a bunch of chests. But if you break this wall by the zipline, there is an elemental chest, a regular chest, and sometimes a typhoon sword will also spawn there, which gives you instant mobility off the bat, and not everybody in the world is landing here. Now, there are plenty of spots around the map that I'm sure I myself haven't discovered, but this works very well for me because I'm able to then rotate to the mythic and third party to have the absolute best loot in the game. But if you'd like to play a little bit differently, I highly recommend you all go check out Fortnite.gg. It shows the entire map, and you can toggle chest spawns, elemental chest spawns, car spawns, and so much more that'll help you pick where you'd like to land. After I loot up, I like to hit this pad. It lets me analyze the area and see where everybody's at, because I do recall some people landing around the area. Then I glide over to the slurp truck because it is not contested, and now I'm full health and looking pretty good to go. Now my current loadout is not complete, so here I'm searching for an AR because I do prefer ARs over SMGs this season. I thoroughly loot this area, make sure I'm not missing anything, and then I hear some shots, and I do not want to miss this opportunity to the third party because they could also potentially have more loot for me. I see a guy gliding, and I'm assuming that he's running away from a fight based on the shots that I heard. I throw down this bunker and patiently hold out my shotgun, expecting that he could potentially jump me here. He seems to be waiting for me to jump him, and I didn't want to drag out this fight, so here's how I make my move. I throw down another bunker to stack up on top of the one that I have, catch him by surprise, and I'm able to deal some damage off the bat, and now I'm already at a health advantage. Notice as I'm pushing him, I'm slowly holding right peaks, being very patient, and I was able to make him weak. So this is when I just get on his head and easily eliminate him. In this specific game, I was giving the drum shotgun a chance because while I like the two other shotgun options better, I think the auto shotgun has its place as well. This is when I realized I forgot to grab the sword from the vault. I go back and grab it, and now I'm looking very set to go ahead and contest the mythic POI. I know that it takes a while for that mythic boss to be defeated because of the amount of rats that play there. This is why I like to take my time off spawn, make sure I'm fully kitted before I take him on. Now you'll notice I have 3 medkits in my inventory, and this is on purpose. This season, I don't think I've ever fought the boss with it not being inside of the storm. And because so many people play ratty, I like to go there and play very slow and basically play early game heal off to guarantee the boss for myself. And if it doesn't get to that point, I just make sure I third party anybody going for it. Now as I'm moving over there, I hear some shots. I use my sword to move a little faster, but notice that I'm not infinitely spamming it to save my stamina. Then I get here and it looked like these players both died, but I still play very patient to make sure there was nobody else around. This is when I shockwave over to the bush in case there's somebody here, and surely somebody ends up pulling up. I'm able to crack this player. Now he throws the void, but here I make sure to use my mobility in order to catch up to him because I know this could be a very free kill. I was able to pick up the elimination, and notice that I reload first and look around expecting a third party before I go down there for that loot. Then eventually I decide to go down because he did have the void mask for me, and now I'm looking very stacked. And this is where you play the very patient game. As I'm moving around, one of the guys had a mythic AR, so I picked that up. I get on the high ground, and here I'm waiting to see if there's anybody else around. Now I like to eliminate these ghosts so that the footsteps don't throw me off later on. So I decide to wait for Storm to go ahead and kick in, and my patience wore off because eventually we saw a guy rotating in, and I was able to absolutely fry him. And because I have these medkits, again, still waiting, looking around to see what this player has, and then I decide that I think I'm pretty safe to go ahead and capture the boss. When fighting the boss, if you have a sword, it makes life so much easier. Anytime he shoots those fireballs at you, all you really have to do is maneuver with the sword, and you'll barely get hit. Shoot the eyes out, and then proceed to shoot the boss. There you have it. You're able to now easily pick up all the loot. And after that, I'm looking absolutely stacked and ready to dominate the rest of this lobby and win this game. Now, as I rotate into the storm, let's talk about loadout. You probably noticed that I didn't pick the mythic SMG. That's obviously because I have the mythic AR in my inventory. Even if it's a mythic SMG, SMG, I will generally pick up any scoped AR over that unless it's gray or green. Then I may go for the mythic SMG. But for your spray weapon, the scoped AR is the absolute best choice with no questions asked. For your shotgun, it gets a little bit tricky. In this game, I'm rocking the purple auto shotgun. Up to this point, it's the best rarity shotgun I found, and it's also a decent option, but I do think the Sentinel pump is my personal favorite, especially because the scoped AR has very good hipfire accuracy, so it makes it a good follow-up weapon to the pump. Then you want to carry some sort of heals. I forgot to mention that earlier in the game, I got a water sprite and put it into a shrine, which gives me the ability to heal 100 health and 75 shield in case I do run out of heals and I'm desperate. But honestly, whatever shields you can find, make sure you hold those in your inventory. And then for the other two slots, you want to have a void mask if possible, and obviously since I'm going for the mythic one, I'm always going to have that option. And I like to rock a sword as well. If I'm not able to find a sword, I'll either opt to have shockwaves or bunkers for cover. I really don't think you need cover with the amount of mobility you can have in your inventory, especially if you pay attention to how I'm playing and positioning myself around the map. So now I've gotten into the safe zone and I heard some shots over by the shrine. I look over there and it looks like the fight is already over. Now you have to remember, I have a medallion, which means I am marked on the map. So I try not to be caught in the open by playing very careful. And here I'm waiting for a pick. Because we have hit scan this season, there's no sense in me bum rushing this fight, but I could just get a lot of free picks from a distance if he finds himself in the open. That's exactly what happens, and I'm able to absolutely crack him. As soon as I crack him, I throw down my void, but then I catch him throwing his void into a different direction. So I instantly reuse my void towards the direction I saw him throw his. And just like that, I was able to land on top of his head and finish up the fight. I was able to then use the water to max up to 100 health. This player had 4 bunkers for me, and this is where if you feel confident in your ability to fight, I would drop my shield for those cover items, especially if you have a water boot. And you'll see that throughout the game, I tend to play a lot safer because I don't have heals. And I also make it a point to stay as near to the water as possible in case I do get into a sticky situation and I need to heal. And I also understand that a lot of the players I'll be fighting will likely be dropping shields for me as well. Now zone ends up pulling towards Seaport City. This is when I throw my void and rotate over there. And as I'm there, I heard some footsteps and make out that he was sitting on top of the bridge. This is when I go for a surprise play. This works very well when players are out in the open. I throw my void up in the air above the bridge where he's at, and I teleport before it even lands so I can be right above his head. And as soon as I land, he starts swinging his sword, and this is when I use my sword mobility to dash away from his swings, and the auto shotgun does a very good job when he gets into my face. I'm able to win this fight. Too many players panic when they're being swinged at. 90% of the time, people lose to these swords because they start panicking and their thinking goes straight out the window. I could have thrown down a bunker. That could have been another very great play. When you die to the sword, think about what could you have done to avoid being swinged at. Now, I threw down a bunker after that fight because I was pretty weak. He had some shields for me. I was able to pop them. Then I get on top of Seaport City and just sit there because I'm in the zone. At this point of the game, you want to play fairly safe because number one, we don't have any shields. At this point, everybody's setting up for the end game. We don't want to get caught in a fight and get third-partied if it's not necessary. So I simply wait around until the next circle shows, and as it does, I got a far pull, and it was time to plan my rotate. Now, the Shogun X medallion has spawned in, so the plan is to rotate as early as possible and keep a distance away from the island, because I am not interested in going for the island in this game specifically, because one, I don't have the heals for it. It takes a very long time to eliminate him, and the chances of being third-partied are very high. There are times where I do like to go for a Shogun X medallion, but you have to base it on what you have in your inventory. I have no medkits and no shields. This is simply not worth it. So I rotate around the left side of the zone, put myself near the water, hold out my AR, and because we don't have snipers in this season, scoped AR becomes so much more valuable when it comes to getting picks before you push into a fight. Now I wait around again until I see the next circle. Storm pulls, and now it's time to make another rotate. I saw a car which I would like to use for mobility. I avoid myself over there immediately, and as I get in the scar, I hear some footsteps behind me. This is when I turn my camera to see what this player is doing. If he simply ratted inside the building, I would not have taken this fight. But because he put himself out in the open, I get out of the car and use it as cover as I right peek and get a lot of free beams, and I'm easily able to eliminate this player. Notice how I didn't take a 50-50. I simply read the situation and capitalized on his mistakes. Get back in the car, I continue making my rotate. Yet again, we're about to utilize on another player's mistake. As I'm driving in the car, I see a player in the open, pull out my AR. He decides to shockwave on my head. If somebody shockwaves on you, you actually have an advantage because all he can do is really spam his shotgun, but you can spray him with your AR, especially because it's hit scan. So don't run away from this. Just spray them out the air. Trust your aim. Just like that, I was able to easily eliminate this player. And now as I'm rotating, I wanted to make it into this water to get my shield up, but unfortunately I didn't make it in time. So I just kept on driving to the zone, spot a player in the open, switch seats and use my AR to deal a lot of damage. And he has these shockwaves away. I decide to chase him down. Notice how I use my sword mobility to make sure that he doesn't have any free shots on me. And this guy's just infinitely running. So I use my void, I get on his head, and I take this fight because I'm so much healthier. He tries to swing at me, but again, holding the shotgun out and being healthier than him, I'm able to easily win this fight. He had a big pot for me, which was perfect. I'm able to pop it. And I start rotating into the storm as quick as possible because I see that there's water on the way there, and I'm able to get myself pretty healthy again. There's only 2 other players remaining. Set myself up in the circle, propped out a bunker, and now the goal here is to be the person third partying. I don't want to initiate any fights if I don't have to. So here one of the players literally just runs in front of my bunker and gives me free beams, and for some reason the guy on height decides to focus shooting me. There was a guy on the island that absolutely beat me. This is when you have to be very, very careful. Rotate straight over, wait to throw my bunker until I'm a little bit deeper in the zone. The guy on height is not playing very smart, and he'll see that he's making a mistake by not focusing on rotating. Because here, as I pop this bunker in the zone, I am fully set up, but he is now in the air, and this is some free beams for me. And this is when the other player also focuses this player. I only have a line of sight on this player here. I immediately take some shots and easily eliminate this player, and now it's a 1v1 situation. Now, I made the assumption here that this player was weak, get on top of his head, and turns out this player wasn't so bad. I went on a left peek and made a huge mistake here, as he's then able to crack me, and I'm already pretty weak. But notice how I use my sword to pull off this insane clutch. If I have a chance, I always use the sword. Jumping around, constantly sliding, and somehow, even though I ran out of stamina, I stayed calm and knew that the only chance I had at winning this fight is if I out-aim here in this situation, which is exactly what I did. That may have been the worst part of that entire game. If I could go back, I would have played the storm a lot more patient. But just like that, we were able to win this game and rank up to Diamond 2 with a 10 elimination win. If you made it this far into the video, I post educational content as often as possible, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss on the future uploads. I greatly appreciate it if you use code Kaviner in the Fortnite item shop. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.